All right, what's going on, everyone? We have the 5070 today, and we are going to run through this area and really check out some ray tracing. But first, let's get a baseline here. If you're interested in the 9070 XT or the 5070 Ti, those videos and this exact same test are listed in the description below. This is the third video in a three-parter that I'm calling a triple header, and I'm posting all of them at the same time. So if you see this one, the other two are live as well. All right, so right here we're at low settings. Just going to be going through this area a little bit just to see what we can expect, especially when it comes to ray tracing and path tracing. We'll see what all we need to do to get this to work. So at 4K, just to keep the test nice and clean between this and the other two cards that are in the description, we're just going to run through it here. This is low settings. As you can see here, we have the following settings. This is low. It just says custom right now, but it's definitely on low. Right here, we are going to just jump up to the medium setting, go back to the transformer model, DLAA. Everything here is as follows. We are just going to turn off all this additional, kind of overlay stuff and keep everything else the same down here. All right, so that gives us about 64, 65 FPS. And now this is really where the 5070 is showing, its lower tier status. Because the other two cards, the 9070 XT and the 5070 Ti, didn't need to upscale until we were on about the ultra setting before ray tracing was involved. And right here, you're already under 60. So right around here, I'm going to go ahead and go up to high, just because upscaling does look really good in this game. It works really well. So let's come up here and go over to high. Come back to transformer, go back to DLAA, so no upscaling, and then of course turn all this off to keep it clean. Let's see here, all this stuff is just the same as it always is. So right here, we're gonna need to do some upscaling. Let's just see kind of where we're at though. So 53, 54 FPS, so it's reliably under 60, and just kind of as a heads up, we are on DLSS 4.5, so we'll see that preset K up there. It'll turn to M and L as we go through the different upscales, but I'm suspecting we are likely going to have to rely on ultra performance on the override L to get this to be a viable way to play this game. So anyway, we're at 60 FPS. This is a pretty easy area to run over here by the water, but we were kind of well under that whenever we were in the more congested areas. So this is a pretty good swing here. I don't know why they're wanting to yell at me. I'm not doing anything. These cops just harass you for everything. All right, yeah, so right here, let's jump over and go to a little bit more. Let's go to the first level of upscaling, rather. Let's go up to quality, see what kind of performance we get back by just going to quality. Quality on the K model looks almost indistinguishable from native, so that's a nice advantage here. And to be fair, FSR4 also looks extremely good on quality, so I'm kind of commenting about this game, or this card on this title, as well as the other two cards that are in the description below. So a little bit of a different one this time, but I encourage everyone to see how it runs. All right, so yeah, we are about 96 FPS, 92. These cops are everywhere. So let's jump up to that very next level. Let's go to ultra. So that was high. Let's go up to ultra. So no need to do anything beyond quality, I believe. So everything does look really good. I need to turn all this stuff off because we don't want it on. All right, so yeah, everything's just kind of as the preset is set up here. So quality, let's go into it. All right, so this is just ultra setting before you jump into any sort of ray tracing. You're right around 66 FPS over here, and I really love this area at night. The reflections are just really, it's just eye candy, and that's kind of why I chose this specifically to check out ray tracing across these three cards. All right, so let's see, if you are looking at it from a cost perspective, this ain't a bad way to go. You just might have to do a little bit more upscaling. But if you really want to hit that kind of sweet spot of power and path tracing, ray tracing, the 9070 XT is really starting to show its value, especially as the 5070 Ti has just exploded in price. So that's why we're checking them all out today. So yeah, we're at 64 here. So let's go up to that next level here. Let's go to ray tracing low. Let's leave it on quality. Ray tracing low only introduces local shadows, so it's not very hard to run. Turn all this off here, of course. Let's see here. All right, yeah, go and apply that. Everything is as it is always. All right, so yeah, let's come into here. Leave it on quality. We still should have pretty good performance here. Yes, just under 60, so it only costs a few FPS there. Let's give 1% lows a chance to get situated here. So we're in the 60s still. So ray tracing with quality upscaling at 4K. Yeah, you're right around 60, so nothing bad about that at all. Ray trace shadows, or the first level, that low, is honestly like not that hard to run. Over ultra, it's barely anything additional. So yeah, right here we're at our latency, which I am able to, keep an eye on latency on the NVIDIA side of things. So we're about 32 milliseconds. Anything under 50 I find exceptionally good. So as long as that doesn't get too high on us, we should be okay. Let's jump up to that very next level of ray tracing. Let's go up to ray trace medium and keep it on quality. It's not gonna be over 60. I just want to see kind of what our baseline is. So this brings in your sun shadows and bumps your ray trace lighting up to medium. All right, and then right down here, of course, we need to turn all this stuff off. All right, so let's go and apply that. And let's see here. So that costs us about 15 FPS, 10 FPS or so. Still not too bad, really. I mean, it doesn't fall on its face, which is really nice to see here. 50 FPS with some frame generation on a game like this with a latency of 39 milliseconds. That ain't bad at all. Now, I do have the NVIDIA Reflex turned on, so I'll show you how to do that. Go into video. Reflex is on. You can go up to boost. I just leave it on because once you go to frame generation, it defaults to on. You can't use boost. So I just leave it on the on setting. All right, so yeah, right here we are at 48 FPS here with 42 milliseconds of latency. All right, so let's jump up and go up to balanced. All right, so let's check out balanced. We're going to need to do that now, so let's go ahead and do it. Left everything else the same. Let's see what kind of lift that gives us. All right, gets us back over 60. Let's come out here, check out all this stuff. I really just love staying up here on the road. I mean, look at this. This is like ray trace eye candy right here. But yeah, we're at 61 FPS, high 50s. So medium with preset K on balanced gives you a spot you can definitely frame generate from. Anything that is above 40 FPS and a latency under 50 milliseconds, I find acceptable to frame generate. That's just me. It's totally personal. I've played a lot of these. I've tested almost 300 videos now going strong. So yeah, I definitely have noticed that the latency plays more of a part than just whatever your baseline FPS is. All right, so let's jump over here and do a little bit more upscaling just to kind of get us to a place where we can continue to go. All right, so we had a crash, but we're back at it here. So that's the first card that has crashed, is the 5070 in this area. And we are pushing it. To be fair, 4K is not its intended resolution. I just wanted to try it at 4K just to see what all it would take, especially whenever we're comparing it with those other two cards. Again, those are in the description below. So yeah, we are looking like 65, 64, 68 here. So let's jump up and just go to that next level of ray tracing. So right here, of course, we don't have ultra. So let's go up to ray tracing ultra. And of course, leave it on performance. Let's see what all it would take. Need to leave ray reconstruction off because that is going to kill the model that we have, this override. Right here, Psycho. Go ahead and do Psycho. It costs almost nothing. Just go ahead and turn that on. And let's go ahead and apply that. Everything else down here is the same. All right, let's see what we can expect here. So performance with Ray Trace Ultra gives you, pretty good. I mean, 60 FPS here. I just got to get hit by a car, that's all. Man, nobody wants to stop for anyone. All right, yes, I mean, look at this. Like, this isn't even path tracing, but it is so damn pretty. Yeah, we are looking good, though. 60 FPS with these settings is kind of surprising to me, considering this is a 70 tier card and is more meant for 1440. But as you can see here, we are really pushing it. All right, so right here, 57 FPS, and let's just keep on rolling. So let's go to the very next thing we can jump up to, which would be basically path tracing. So let's go to performance, turn off ray reconstruction. We can't use it with the override at the moment. We'll check it out. We'll check it out toward the end though. But yeah, we are looking good here. Let's turn all that stuff off. So all this, just double checking this. The game loves to move things around. Frame gen is off. Path tracing is on. So yeah, this is kind of the big boy setting here. Crashed again. All right, so we're back. That crashed again. So the 5070 is exhibiting some performance issues, but it's usually only whenever you change settings. So once you get the settings established, it looks fine. But right here, man, look at this. Look at this reflection. That is just so just. It's this game, man. I cannot believe it's 5 years old. It looks so good. But yeah, we're at 40 FPS here. So let's go up to a little bit more upscaling and just see if this card can do 4K with path tracing, which would be really good if it did. Yeah, so right here, we don't have anything else changed. Everything is the same. So let's jump up here and do this. All right, so we are at 60 FPS here. Preset L on Ultra Performance looks insanely good. Better than it's got any right to look. You are upscaling from 720p to 4K. And it looks this sharp. So yeah, I mean, we haven't touched any of the frame generation yet. So, I mean, Ultra Performance on a 5070 on 4K with path tracing, I mean, damn. Just, this might be the best value if you don't mind giving up ray reconstruction, because if you turn on ray reconstruction, you can still use Ultra Performance, but it's going to use an old preset. It's not going to use the nice preset L, which gives you this like sharpness. But what that will do is kind of get rid of some of the noise and speckling, but it introduces a lot more blurriness, especially in the images that are in the details that are further in the distance. So in my opinion, you know, using ray reconstruction does not outweigh the benefit of using preset L, if that makes sense. So let's jump into here, and I am going to turn on the ray reconstruction, which will basically kill that override. And things are a little softer. They're not terrible, but you do get a little bit less noise, but at the cost of more blurriness. So in my opinion, I would just use preset L. I would just not use ray reconstruction at the moment. They might update it in the future, but you know, until then, this is what we got. So let's turn that back on. I just wanted to kind of show that. It's very relevant on this card more than anything, because that Ultra Performance really unlocks another level. Like I said, we're running path tracing at 4K on a 5070. So what I'm going to do now is turn on some frame gen, do a restart, and I'll be right back. All right, so now we're back in it. We've got frame generation enabled. We are on that path trace setting. So let's come in here and just recap what we got. All right, so Ultra Performance, let's turn off ray reconstruction. Let's get our override back. Let's go back to performance just to see how it starts to behave with that 2x frame gen, because that might save us from having to go to Ultra Performance with that frame gen on. So let's see what it does there. So we get to keep the preset M, and that will definitely, you know, keep things nice and smooth. However, our latency is a bit high. You know, 68 is a little bit high, but for a controller, anything under about 75 is generally okay. So it's just kind of showing that, like, you are using a card that's more meant for 1440, but can do 4K, which is kind of amazing. So if you are in the market for a 4K monitor and you're wondering, you know, what kind of card you can look at, this isn't out of the question for this game. You know, definitely you're definitely going to have to use kind of all the new DLSS stuff, or, you know, in AMD's case, the FSR stuff. You're going to have to, you know, kind of know that going in, but you can save a significant amount of money with going with a 5070 over a 9070 XT or a 5070 Ti. But, you know, of course, it might not age as well. We are allocating basically every bit of RAM we have. We're not using all of it, which is a good thing, but the game is basically saying, I need every bit of RAM you have right now. just in case. So right now it's using 10.1, so we're not getting any hangs or stutters. Frame time graph looks really good. Let's jump up to a 3x here. So let's go to 3x and just kind of run through path tracing, and then we'll jump down into ray tracing ultra, and that might be a little bit better to run and just kind of avoid path tracing if these settings are giving you a little bit of heartburn. But I mean, look at this. I wouldn't even care. I just wouldn't even care about my latency. Like, look at it. Just, the eye candy is insane in this game. It's so damn beautiful. All right, so yeah, let's look at 4x. So that gave us a little bit more latency going to 3x. So probably wouldn't need to go this high. I just want to show you just in case. But yeah, our latency is creeping up there. Let's see, give it some time here. 75 milliseconds, 76. Yeah, 100 FPS though, with full path tracing at 4K. So yeah, performance with preset M looks really good. I mean, it looks basically almost as good as Quality did on DLSS 4. Just an insane technology, this upscaling stuff. So let's jump, keep everything the same. Let's jump up to, let's go to 2x. Let's go to ultra performance. No ray reconstruction. We definitely want to keep our override. We kind of established already that ray reconstruction doesn't really, it's not really worth the trade-off at ultra performance, in my opinion, to make a blurry image just so you can have ray reconstruction on. But yeah, we've got latency's back down. So visually speaking, it's a tiny bit softer than performance, but it gets your latency down. So it kind of depends on what bothers you the most. Personally, I wouldn't mind the latency and just run it on preset M with the performance, but it still looks really good either way. All preference, you know. Everything's nice and snappy right here. Everything's running really well. So 2x frame gen, 42 milliseconds on our PCL there. So let's come up here to 3x. Let's jump over into it, do a little bit more look-sees. Yeah, we got 130 FPS. Definitely looks fantastic. 50 milliseconds. This is probably how I would play it if I were, you know, going to go with ultra performance. It gives you a little bit more break on your used VRAM, so we're down to 9.5 instead of 10.1. So it's all about managing those assets. You know, this has crashed a few times, so once you get it set up, it doesn't crash or have problems. It's just whenever you're changing settings, it tends to get a little angry. But you know, you can overlook that if you want to save like $300 over a 9070 XT. So right here we are at 130 FPS. Almost said $130 because I'm thinking money. But yeah, we are looking really good here. Let's go up to 4x. All right, and then we're going to go into some ultra ray tracing and see what we can expect there with some frame gen on. So right here, 55 milliseconds, and this looks really good. I still can't believe this is ultra performance. This is 720p going up to 4K. It's insane. All right, so 180 FPS here. All right, so multi-frame generation is clearly a good advantage. So let's come up here and drop it down to ultra. All right, so let's go ultra. Let's go back to performance with a 2x. And just to get a baseline, let's go up to Psycho. Just to get a baseline, I'm going to keep it on 2x, and then I'm going to go back up in the upscaling. So I'm going to downscale just to see what our latency does. So right here we are at 54, 48. Let's give it some time here. Man, this looks good. So 48 milliseconds. Yeah, so I mean, just look at how this water looks. I mean, this like wet pavement just looks insane. Now you can kind of see a lot of speckling and stuff. It's definitely in need of potentially some can't think of the word, ray reconstruction. But let's see what it looks like here. This would be a pretty good example. So we're obviously going to fall off of the preset M, but as you can see here, ray reconstruction gets rid of all that speckling that you were seeing, and it smooths out the reflections a lot. So, you know, it depends on what you're after. You know, it's just kind of one of those things. Unfortunately, we can't have both right now, but as you can see, the ray reconstruction is doing a really good job keeping that speckling from occurring in these in this wet pavement here. But again, you lose that override. However, performance still looks really, really good. So I would maybe even suggest this setting, leaving ray reconstruction on and just using performance, because it looks really good. And that speckling can be a little bit distracting. But yeah, we are at 46, 47 here. So about 50 milliseconds on our, on our overall latency there. So 144 FPS. Ray reconstruction, I might be walking back what I said earlier. Ray reconstruction definitely improves the reflections a good bit. So, I don't know if it's worth it or not. But yeah, I'm just showing you so you can decide for yourself. All right, yeah, so we are going to jump up to that very next level here. Let's go to 4x, and then of course I'm going to jump back in and show you the overrides like I did earlier. But yeah, here we go. So ray reconstruction is looking fantastic. 172 FPS. Latency is very managed. Once you turn on frame generation, it automatically turns on reflex. So you get you can manage that latency a good bit. Looks so good. All right, so let's jump over. Let's switch this off. Let's go back to a 2x. That's kind of what we were on. And as you can see, the reflection, there goes Speckle City. So what you determine is valuable to you is kind of what you need to do. Just kind of am showing you everything here. But yeah, we are at 82, 90, 92, 93, preset M. All right, so let's just keep on going and jump over to the next level here. So that would be a 3x. Let's see what our latency does here. All right, so that is 53, still nice and managed, still feels really good. Anything around 50 is fine. 129, yep, 130. So let's jump up to that next level, 4x. Let's go here. All right, so 4x and our latency, let's give it just a second here. Go to 59, right around 60. On a controller, this would probably be okay. That ray reconstruction, though, makes a big difference in some of these scenarios, though. This reflection is very, very speckly versus with that ray reconstruction on. So again, that's just something you're going to have to decide. So the cool thing is, if you can do it, you can go up to balanced with ray reconstruction. So you get the nice sharper image on top of the ability to use ray reconstruction, and you don't have to give up. You don't have to make everything all blurry. But look how much better that looks. Oh my gosh, it's like night and day with ray reconstruction on. We don't have the override. We don't have that preset M available to us right now, but I think this looks better. I'm kind of changing my mind. I think ray reconstruction is the better of the two when you're in a heavily ray traced area. But yeah, it definitely looks a lot better. Still nice and sharp. You are at 73 FPS, and your latency is right around 58 milliseconds, which is just fine. I mean, this is not a bad way to play at all. You're on a 5070 with ultra ray tracing. I think this might be the highest value card if you can find it close to that 550 price point. Despite the VRAM, I still think it's a good buy. I don't know price-wise, at the time of this recording, things change every day. So right now, the 5070 is about $200 cheaper overall than the 9070 XT, which would give you a little bit better performance, but of course you don't have that ray reconstruction available to you, which does look really good. All right, so yeah, we are at 2x now. Let's go to 3x and just see here what we can do. So 93, let's give it a minute. It takes it a while to kind of see what it's doing. All right, so ray reconstruction is on currently, so we do not have the preset M available to us. It's on preset D technically. Yeah, so we are at 114 FPS here. Everything looks really, really sharp though. I mean, performance upscale is still really nice. All right, so let's jump to, balanced upscale is still really nice. So let's jump to 4x and see what we can expect here. So Balanced on 4X gives you about still in the 50s. I mean, this is still fine. This looks really good too. I'm doing a little bit longer test with the 5070 just because it requires a little bit more careful fine tuning. But let's jump up to quality and just see what our latency does. See if we can go to quality. Leave that ray reconstruction on. We definitely need to leave ray reconstruction on if you're not on ultra performance. I don't think that it's beneficial if you're on quality, balanced, or performance to leave it off. The override still looks good enough. Thinking like holistically here, like what looks better. All right, so yeah, let's jump over into it here. All right, so with a 2x frame gen on quality, your frames are fine. Latency, not bad. I mean, you're in the 60s, but you're not in the 80s. I mean, that's what you want to avoid. If you're on a controller, I think this would be okay. So 2x, fully maxed out, ultra ray tracing. Latency's still very managed, and this looks really damn good. I mean, quality upscale, does not disappoint. 70 FPS here. So let's go to a 3x. All right, so go to 3x. Give it some time to get itself sorted out. So we are gonna add latency, but let's see how much latency we wind up adding. All right, let's see. It's kind of got some stutters going on in this area, so let's just see how it goes. So this is starting to get up close to mid 60s, pretty regular. So about 100 FPS though. So this might be kind of a bridge too far for me personally. I think 2x was fine for the latency trade-off, but I mean, damn, it looks good. Let's go up to 4x just to see what that latency does here. So on quality here. All right, so let's jump over into it and don't get hit by a car. All right, so we are at just over 100 FPS here, and we have 70 milliseconds, 75. So it's a little too high for me personally, but 2x would be perfect. So one more thing I want to do before we close out. Again, this is a comparative video. There's 2 other videos linked in the description for 2 other cards, the 9070 XT and the 5070 Ti. So make sure you check those out as well. Let's go to 2x and bring this overdrive back in and leave ray reconstruction on. I'm curious. That's all. I'm just curious on performance. Ray reconstruction on 2x. Everything else down here, we need to switch all this junk off. Okay, so everything looks good here. So let's jump into it. So, full path tracing. Your latency is 58 milliseconds. You have ray reconstruction on, so you're avoiding all that speckle that's in these reflections sometimes. And you are still at 75 FPS with a latency that I find acceptable, especially on a controller. I'm on my mouse and keyboard here. Let's see. Feels very one-to-one. I personally would be able to play like this no problem on either one, mouse and keyboard or controller. 60 milliseconds does not bother me too much when you get to look at this. It looks really good. All right, so let's jump over and see if we can push it a little bit further here. So let's go to balanced with a 3x. All right, we're just going to work our way up to quality. All right, so let's go into it here. So that gives us 83 FPS. And our latency is, let's see if it settles out. If it settles out around mid-70s, I'm going to be really happy. Let's see. About 83, 85. On a controller, this feels okay still. I have a threshold that might be a little higher than yours, but anything around 80, I prefer to say 75. But anything around 80, 85, when you get to look at path tracing on balanced, I think is a good trade-off for a card at this price point at 4K. That's just me personally. I don't see any major reason to not recommend this card at its current price if you're going after 4K. And just imagine, if it can do this at 4K, it's going to be fine at 1440, which is much more of its intended resolution anyway. All right, so yeah, we are at about 80 milliseconds of latency here. So, just to see, let's go up to 4x and up to quality. This is path tracing. Everything, pretty much maxed out. We're going to use quality. We're going to use the help of frame generation to do this. And hopefully our latency won't be just god awful. Let's give it some time. It takes a minute. About 100 milliseconds, so that's pretty damn high. That would not be what I wanted to play like. I'm feeling it a little bit in my controller. As far as mouse and keyboard goes, yeah, I can feel it. So I wouldn't want to go this far, but man, balanced or performance with a 2x or a 3x, perfect, I think. If you use ray reconstruction, just make sure that you try not to go to ultra performance. That's where it really starts to look kind of blurry. That's the only setting that I would probably say would be worth it to turn off ray reconstruction. But yeah, I mean, I think balance with a 3x would be fine on path tracing. So let's jump into it and see here. One more thing, and then I'm going to close it out. Yep. So right here, 3x. Everything looks good. Let's go 2x. Let's just see. One more test in there before we close out. Why not? All right. So yeah, 2x frame gen gives you about 55, 58. So if you don't worry about 60 all of the time, you can get away with a little bit better latency. Not much, but a little bit. Yeah, so we are just going to shoot across the road here, get hit by a car. Got to do that, of course. So in this area, at least, we are right around 80 milliseconds on 2x, 75, 71. It's coming back down. It's as you play, it's calculating, so that number will adjust. It'll trend downward a little bit at first and then kind of settle out. So 75 milliseconds is about what we're looking at with a 60 FPS frame rate with a 2x. So if you want to, go up to 3x, this is kind of where I think would be like the sweet spot if you want to use ray reconstruction. It gives you a nice over 60 experience with no additional latency. I mean, you're still in the mid 70s here. Again, you have to give it a little bit of time for it to kind of settle itself out, but yeah, 80 FPS here with path tracing. So the 5070 is, it really is a good buy, and it's really saved by multi-frame generation and the reflex technology that keeps the latency down. So yeah, there you go. All three are done. So I'm going to link the 9070 XT and the 5070 Ti down below. That way you'll be able to watch all three of these and get a pretty good idea of what all three cards can do at 4K with ray tracing and path tracing and all the different upscaling technologies enabled and all that stuff. So hopefully this has been a really good test for you guys. If you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing. And yeah, we'll see you in the very next video. Peace.